This morning, I want to talk about why people who knit have an aversion to crochet. And that isn't as simple as just, oh, you haven't bothered, you're lazy. Disclaimer, I'm not saying that anyone is lazy for not trying to crochet or not sticking with it. What this video is about, it's about the six common reasons why knitters give up when they try crochet and why they think they can't do it. Okay, so there'll be several phrases that I have heard as a designer and a teacher. One of which is, I just can't crochet. Fair enough. I'm impossible to teach. Okay. The fabric is too stiff. My tension is wrong. I can't count the stitches. I can't see where they are. My circles don't lie flat, or my shapes don't work out the way the pattern suggests. Now, there are several reasons why people say they can't crochet. Those are just a few of them. A lot of knitters I have spoken to have insisted that crochet is really difficult and it's too hard and they will never be good at it. They can't read the pattern. They can't create drape in the fabric. They lose track of the stitches. The edges don't look right. The edges aren't straight. The list is endless. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to talk you through 6 main reasons why you can't crochet. Okay? Now, disclaimer, there will be people who cannot crochet and that is fine. But if you haven't given yourself a chance, hopefully today I will be able to change your mind. So the first things first, it's possible that you are not using the right hook. What I mean by that is there are so many different styles of hook on the market. It could be the material of the hook that doesn't suit you. So you could be using a 15 centimeter aluminium hook, but it hurts your hand after a while. You could be using an ergonomic hook, but it feels a bit awkward and clunky in your hand. You need to shop around for hooks. You need to try all the styles to see what suits you. Some hooks have a soft handle that just gives you a bit of cushioning, but some people don't like that. Some hooks have a solid plastic handle or a resin handle, and that can help you manage how hard you squeeze your hook. But again, some people don't like that. You have to try a range of hooks to know what suits you. And another thing about hooks is you will see on the back of a lot of yarn labels, there will be a little tension square. And more often than not, there'll be one for knitting and there'll be one for crochet. And what always winds me up, especially if it's, say, double knit, is it will say 4mm for both. Okay, so it will say use 4mm needles to get this gauge, and then it'll say use a 4mm crochet hook. Now, chances are, if you were to use the 4mm crochet hook to do a crochet piece, it would be really stiff and it would not make a very nice garment. Okay, so what you need to do if you are learning to crochet, you need to master what you work with tension wise. Okay, so a lot of knitters, you will have perfected your tension. You will know, I'm a loose knitter, I'm a tight knitter, or I always get somewhere in the middle. When it comes to crochet, just do not use that as a basis of comparison, because the way you crochet will be completely different. And more often than not, someone who's new to crochet will be very tight with their tension. So if you were to then just use the 4mm hook because that's what the label says, you won't be happy with the results unless you want a tailored jacket. Okay, it will not be comfortable enough. It will be stiff. So you have to play around with your hooks. And what I always recommend is try, just if you're too tight or too loose, or you just don't like the look of the fabric, go up a hook size or 2. I usually go up by 0.5mm, just to create some drape. Okay. And the same if I wanted it to be really dense, because I was making a toy, I would go down because I want it to be nice and stiff and I want it to curl in on itself. And there's so many different reasons, but just never use the hook size that it says, because 9 times out of 10 it's wrong. Okay, it just doesn't work the same as knitting. Like, most people can pick up 4mm needles and DK yarn and they'll be fine tension wise. With crochet you will not, okay? Because the sample that they give you on the yarn label is not for something that is wearable. It's for a very stiff, dense crochet square, okay? And that's not what we want. So don't do it. Like, if you just follow the label, you're going to be disappointed, okay? Play around with hook sizes, go up, go down, change your material. Just get that fabric to hang how you want it, okay? The second really big one, number 2, you don't know your terminology, okay? I have had crochet testers pull out of tests because they couldn't be bothered, and this was their own words. I'm not, this isn't me judging. This is like, literally I had a message saying I couldn't be bothered learning the US terms, okay? Unfortunately, in crochet we have more than one way of doing things, and we have more than one term for things. But the good news is that with US and UK terms, there's only 6 of them to learn. There's just 6. Okay, 6. Okay. And what you can do is, certainly on my website, on the blog, there is a conversion chart, and you can see what those terms are called in US and UK. Keep hold of it, write it down, stick it in your notebook, stick it on the wall, put it somewhere where you can quickly reference it. When you're learning to crochet, I cannot stress enough how important it is to make sure you know your terms, okay? If you were to have a go at a amigurumi pattern and it was written in UK terms and you only know US terms, you are not going to have what's in that picture on the pattern, okay? Because double crochet in US terms is much bigger than double crochet in UK terms. Just learn them. There's only 6, okay? It's so important, especially for garments and blankets. If you start working on it and you haven't checked the terminology, you're going to be so disappointed because your finished item it won't be wearable, it won't be usable, because it'll be completely different to what it's supposed to be. A tip, if you are looking at a pattern and it says single crochet, that is a US term, okay? Because single crochet does not exist in UK terms. Learn them. It's so important that you learn them, okay? So if you've given up, it's probably because you haven't learned your terminology. Number 3. So when knitters in particular say, oh, you can't teach me, I'm impossible to teach. You are not impossible to teach. You are unwilling to learn. And that is a big difference. So before I went into knitwear and crochet design, I was a teacher, and I taught 16 and over. So a lot of adults, a lot of young people, a lot of people who had their first go at school and didn't do well. So they immediately decided, well, I'm not good at this, I can't be taught. And that's not true. We are all capable of being taught, but we have to be willing to learn. So you take a knitter out of their comfort zone of 30 years, okay, they've mastered their craft, and then you say, I'm going to teach you this new thing. Well, of course you're resistant to it. Of course you say, oh, I can't do this, I'm impossible to teach. You are not allowing yourself to be taught. You are not allowing yourself to learn something new. And that is so normal and common, especially with adults. You are in your comfort zone, and anything that is not within your comfort zone, you naturally don't want to engage with. That's just how it works. So what you have to do is make yourself receptive to learning. Accept that you are going to get things wrong. You are not going to be amazing at crochet the first time you try it. Just open yourself up and say, right, I am gonna just give this a go, and I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to make mistakes, and you will be fantastic. Okay. Skills require time and they require practice, and just trying it the first time and saying, oh, this doesn't work, is not good enough reason to just give it up forever. Okay. In what other aspect of your life do you just pick something up immediately? Like, did you pick up guitar and all of a sudden you were as good as Jimi Hendrix? Or did it take a while? Crochet is just the same. Okay? Give yourself time to learn. Don't let one negative experience of learning to crochet stop you from ever trying it again. Okay, please. Number 4, you could possibly be holding the hook in a way that isn't right for you. There are no rules with crochet. So just because the tutor is holding their hook a certain way doesn't mean that you have to hold it the same way. You could hold it like a knife, you could hold it like a pencil, you could hold it like a spoon. There's no wrong way to do it. All that matters in crochet is that the finished item is achieved. Okay, and more importantly, that you are enjoying yourself. Okay, so we're all unique, and it's estimated that up to 12% of the world's population are left-handed, so they're going to hold their hooks differently to someone who's right-handed. There's no rules in that respect. You have to just find a way that is comfortable for you. Don't worry if the person who is showing you the video is holding their hook in a different way to you. As long as you are making the same stitches and as long as you are following the instructions, you can't go wrong. There's no wrong way to hold the hook. Okay, just remember that there's no wrong way to hold the hook. Just play around with it, see how you feel comfortable, which way of holding it helps you to crochet for the longest period of time without getting any aches and pains. Just have a play around. Number 5, this is quite an important one. No tutorial is perfect. Okay, you can watch 10 videos on double crochet and it'll come down to the mannerisms of the instructor. It will come down to how they hold their hook. It will come down to examples that they use and how they describe things. We are all different. We are all human, and not every video will do it for you. Okay, and the beauty of YouTube is that you can look at all these different videos and find a way that works for you. Do not just look at one and say, okay, well, I couldn't do it like they did it, so I'm not going to attempt it anymore. Have a go. Have a look around. Find something that suits you, because it is your hobby. You are not doing it as wrong as you think you are. Okay. Number 6, knitting and crochet are not the same. They will never and have never been the same, and you cannot compare them in a way that you just can't, because they're not the same. You know, you sitting there saying, well, I've been knitting for 30 years. I expect to be just as good at this. Well, you will be one day. Do not compare your ability with someone else. Do not compare your ability with your knitting ability, because it will be different. You will have to learn things. You will have to treat yourself like a beginner. You know, learning is something that you should do, and accept that it will take a while. We live in this age of instant gratification, and people think, I'll just be able to do this, and you will. You need to give yourself more time. And some of you will be lucky enough to take to crochet like a duck to water. Some of you will have to put the hours in, and that's okay. It's not a race. Okay? I hope that watching this video has convinced you to at least think about why you don't crochet, or why you've given up, or why you don't feel you're as good as it as good as crochet as you are as knitting. And let me know in the comments if there are any other things that I've missed out, why crochet is so difficult for you.